the what do you call it? The captioning.
I don't know.
I'm
Kaltura.
not sure about that. With Collaborate. So basically, the way I've used Collaborate is I've met with my students online and done presentations. I've had students do presentations, and I've also had groups. Now, when we first jumped into it in March, it definitely was a bit of a learning curve. Like, I could not figure out how to. I was able to set up the groups, but I couldn't. At first, I couldn't figure out how to bring them back. We'll see if John knows how to do that or not. But actually, what happened is I pushed the wrong button. And so if you, because I thought like there was one group that was finished, so I wanted to bring them back, and you actually can't bring just a separate group back. I think you have to bring the whole class back. And so the button that I pushed actually threw the students out of the Collaborate session, and they were banned. They couldn't get back in. So
Details.
Yeah. So it was kind of funny. We were all just laughing, And of course, this was my face-to-face class, so I know the students really well. And so what I ended up doing was then I ended up having to get out of Collaborate and make a new session, and then they could rejoin us. But it was like I threw them out because they were causing trouble or something. So, Bob, did you have a question?
Yeah. I've got a presentation. I don't know if you need to go through it or not. It's pretty basic. But there is one issue I'm curious about as far as Collaborate goes. How do you share a screen? Because I saw Amy do it, but I don't know how to do it.
Okay, yeah, I can show you that. Hang on a second.
I did a video of that for my adjunct group.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it's like a 4-minute video. I don't know if you, we had a couple people, if you have 2 screens, it's really easy. I'm not sure how to do it with just one screen.
That's one of the problems I think with Collaborate is it definitely works better if you have more than one screen. So if you're just on a laptop, it is definitely hard. But Bob, all you're looking for is these little on the far right hand side. There's a little purple tab, and you click on that, and it opens up this block that has like chat in it. And then it also has the list. And so what you're looking for is this little, it's like a picture of a piece of paper with an arrow. Do you see that, Bob?
I'm clicking on it now.
Okay. And so, and then when you click on that, you can either share a particular link, or you can share a particular file, or you could also pre-upload files and share a file that you uploaded. So it kind of really depends on what you want to do. But what I found, like I switch back and forth between a lot of documents, so I generally share my screen, and I have more than one screen. Now, we did figure out that if you were playing a video, you need to share the Google tab that video's in, or students can't hear the sound.
Yeah, I found that out.
You know what, though? If you share your screen, hold on, it's kind of small on my second screen here. See where it says share application screen?
Yeah, up here. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you hit that share application screen, that's where you get that funkadelic little tube thing going on, like that you can see now.
Well, that's
all I do. If I click.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that only happens if you share the screen that Collaborate is on. If you share another, like if you have more than one screen, you don't get this.
Yeah, and that's what I typically do. So when I start, I usually have everything on my left screen.
Yeah.
I open Collaborate on my left screen. I share Collaborate, and then I actually drag the Collaborate tab. Like I left click at the top of the tab, and I drag that over to my second screen. Mm-hmm. So I can actually see what my students are seeing, and like my students are seeing the left screen, and I have my Collaborate tab on my right screen, so I can actually see what they're seeing, and I don't have to do anything special. Whatever I pull up on my left side screen shows in Collaborate without all that tubular stuff, because I've pulled it off to the other screen. Mm-hmm. So if you have to, that's what I found to be the easiest. I tried doing the different application sharing and all of that fun stuff, but I found out if as long as you have 2 screens, if I just drag that Collaborate window, I guess you could say, off of the left screen, over to the right screen. Students are still viewing my left screen, and anything I put on my left side screen, students can see. And I mean, I really like it because it also, like Brad, you mentioned, you don't know what they're seeing. If you have two screens and you drag the Collaborate
We're going
tab
swimming.
over to the other screen, yeah, you can actually watch and make sure that what you're showing on the left side screen, the students are actually seeing and Collaborate.
Yeah, I don't even think
Well-
you have to do what you're doing, that because like right now, my third screen has this picture of the guy swimming, and I can see it
Right.
fine on Collaborate. I can see
Yeah,
exactly
I
what my students are seeing.
I only have one screen. I'm working off a laptop here at home, and I basically just share screen and then go to whatever tab or file,
Right.
and they're seeing what I'm seeing basically.
Yeah,
So
yeah. The big difference is like right now, the guy that's swimming, I have to go so you see my pointer moving. I have to go to the screen where that's at. You can't if you put your pointer on the screen where Collaborate's at. They don't see that. So it's like a picture of a
Right.
picture. Yeah,
Right.
which is really weird compared to WebEx. WebEx is not like that. The screen that you're sharing is exactly you're live in that screen, so it's a little different. But it still
Right.
works. It's still functional. Yeah, it definitely is harder if you only have a laptop, and I always call that one screen the inception. Melissa, I always tell students,
Oh, I
okay,
see, yeah.
yeah, we're going into inception now. But in order to show them like the the toggles and so forth with the purple thing, that was the only way I found out that you could do that, was to actually do so that they see the actual screen that you're on.
Yeah, you have to work on, like for me, again, my left side, right side, I keep Collaborate on the right, and my work screen, I guess you would call it, is on the left. And I know anything I do on the left side screen is being reflected through Collaborate. Yeah, but I mean, it took me a while because sometimes my screens got flipped and then I was just all out of sync. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Well-
no, that wasn't going to work.
And I think a big thing, if you're doing groups with students, it's really, you've got to train them how to use it, because, and that's with as we go into new classes this summer, I had to spend time teaching students how to use this system, and then once they could use it, then they can do a lot of group work together. So another interesting thing about Collaborate as well is, so in our capstone class in business management, we do a simulation and students work in teams in that simulation. So originally when I started doing it this semester, I had the main classroom where I had all the students met, and then I set up sessions because I thought, oh, I'm going to have each team meet in the individual sessions. But then later on, I found out when I set the teams up in groups in Blackboard, they automatically get their own Collaborate chat in the groups. I don't know if any of you guys have used that or not.
I haven't. I've been trying to break down my classes into small problems that students see online, like one big problem bit by bit. And I'll give them some guidance on, these are the steps you need to take, see if you can give it a shot. And for the students that are actually showing up, it's good. But unfortunately, I have an 8 a.m. And 8 to 10 accounting 12-12 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I'm not having a whole lot of people show up at this. I think I'm going to have to send what do you call it?
Now, was it scheduled already like that, or or is it a web class and you're trying to get them to come online, or?
No, it was the on-site. It was an on-site that was scheduled Tuesday, Thursday, 8 to 10.
So it was supposed to be that way. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, because I'm doing a decent job of recording and getting them out there fairly quickly. I think I'll kind of go through and look at who's actually watching it, and they seem to be, a decent amount, working their way through the videos.
Watching the videos.
And I opened it up to my web students as well, but again, I don't have a whole lot of people getting up for an 8 a.m. accounting class.
Yeah, that's tough. Bob, did you want to show us your presentation? I know you had it on for a moment there, and then. I think we lost you.
I think I better not, because when I tried, I got knocked off.
You got dumped out? Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I think it's a bandwidth issue.
Yeah, probably. It might help if
And
you
I've
turn
got-
off your camera, because that definitely cameras eat up a lot more bandwidth. But if your internet at home is, not as strong, that definitely can.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Try again.
Let me try it again just to see what happens. If I get knocked off, I'll just come back. See if it works. There it is.
Okay. Go for it.
All right. Well, let me just start. Well, gotta get my cursor back. Here we go. Oh, there we go. Can you guys all see it?
Yep. And your
Okay,
sound
good.
is better. Before it was really, I don't know what we were getting all the feedback from before, but now it's good.
Okay. Well, anyway, this is what I came up with. It's probably something that everybody does, but I did it because I was asked to. Um, the way the assessments work is I put a thought question at the end of every class presentation. And for example, what's different about the way you go about buying stuff and how your parents do? And this is something that we're all familiar with, the concept of a generational cohort. And then the next class, I asked them, what questions do you have? And I've been, the students oftentimes don't know what questions to ask. And so that's why I ask it that way. And then this is a leading question to what we're about to cover, which is consumer behavior, which is the class that comes right after that. And so generational cohorts fit into the concept of demographics in a way that many students really hadn't thought of before, because demographics, of course, is not just demographic factors; it's patterns within a population. And so it's a way to tie things together. And then low stakes for this is they're not prepared for the class. Sometimes that happens. How many times as a student I walk into a class and I'm not ready? I structure the review questions so they're good preparation for an exam. And the grading I do is by class participation, which is part of their total. And I guess I do something that many people do. I provide printouts of the class PowerPoint slides before the session starts, so that they have something to write on and something to look at. They can work for that. Online's been pretty smooth. There are some issues of connectivity on the students' end, and it's especially true for unstable internet or Wi-Fi connections. It's one of the things that I'm pretty aware of is that the level of technology that students have access to is by no means even. There are some that have, very robust technology, and then there are others that really don't. And some of them are trying to get by with their smartphones, and that's all they can afford. Some of them, but that's really tough to do to get through all that with just a smartphone. So. I encourage them to, if there's a family member there that they can work with, then, share a computer. That might be helpful, because that way they don't have to go buy one.
Let me just interrupt you for a second, Bob. So make sure too, if you see students like that or talk to them on Starfish, they do have COVID-19, where like I was able to get several students laptops from the college. So you just need to reach out to the college, Teddy Hopted area. That's one of the things that they're doing. So.
I'm sorry, whose area?
Her name is Teddy. How do you guys? Hop Top Lewis, I think, because I never can remember her last name. But there was at the beginning of the semester, there was a Starfish survey where you could submit students that needed technology help. But if you have students like that, if you just talk to John, he could refer you to the right person.
Yeah, I'll do that. That's a very useful piece of
Yeah,
information.
yeah, because they have gotten quite a few students laptops, because you definitely can't do this on a cell phone. Yeah, Melissa
Right.
just posted her name, Teddy.
Got it.
Yeah, Lewis Hoptop, Hotop. I think it's Hotop. But anyway, but there, it's really difficult. Blackboard does not work well on a cell phone, on a smartphone. So yeah, you definitely want to reach out and let them know about those students, and they'll reach out to those students and try to arrange to get them, a Chromebook or something.
And I'm going to throw this in there too. I think the Starfish thing is still available if you want to go out to Starfish and go through that process. But I will tell you, last week, maybe a little bit longer ago, I can't remember, I had gotten an email from a student who had gotten a little behind, who told me he had been working 2 jobs. Currently, he was quote unquote couch surfing on friends' couches, trying to get back on his feet financially. And, I worked with him on deadlines, and I sent an email to Teddy. So I read this email, thought about it, like maybe Teddy can, we've got some options here for Teddy to help. So I sent this email off to Teddy and her group. And I kid you not, before I even had a chance to finish the email I was sending to him about deadlines, Teddy had already had somebody call him and give him XYZ as far as financial help, food help, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. So, if you do see something like that and you want to go directly to Teddy as opposed to through the Starfish maze that sometimes is a little tough, she will be on it before you have time to turn around. So
Yeah, in the Starfish, you guys can see Blackboard now. I'm sharing.
Yeah.
Okay. The Starfish survey was up here, but they took it down, I think, after a period of time. So maybe now you do have to contact Teddy directly. I don't know. But I agree with you, Melissa. So I actually had last semester, I had a student on Easter Sunday who was married with 2 kids or 3 kids, and her husband just went crazy and literally threw her and her kids out of the house. And she texted me. I use Remind a lot for texting with students, and she texted me because she basically had no place to stay. She ended up, I think, getting a hotel, and then she was able to finally move in with her parents, with her kids. But again, you're exactly right. Teddy was, they were right on it. They called her the next day and helped her. So they definitely have been really responsive. So
yeah.
It's been great.
Yeah, so don't worry if you don't go through the quote unquote official Starfish channel.
Mm-hmm.
She'll take it and run with it if you want her to.
Mm-hmm. Yep, definitely. So, have any of you guys been using Kahoot or any of those kinds of things online, or?
I've used it before. I used the free version before. It's good. I used it in class, and my students really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
The downside is it is very time consuming to set up.
Yeah, it is time consuming. I agree. Yeah.
And again, I loved it. There was literally 100% participation. It worked really well.
Mm-hmm.
So when I get my personal administrative assistant that
Your
that
personal,
I'm sure we both trust you,
your personal administrative assistant. There you go.
we'll get right on that.
Yeah.
No, I'd like to use it within Collaborate as well, but I think
Yeah, go ahead.
probably one of the bigger issues, and the ideas that were put out there with the 355, that's really good if you have one course, and I do that with my own courses a little at a time. But unfortunately, when we have I'm starting to get some, let me pull this over here. When you have multiple classes, a lead, and you have like 15 classes underneath you, and all of those classes have to be, 99% complete before you let them go to all the other teachers, that the 355 can be a little more complicated. You can't really do a little at a time. It's like, it has to be done at the start of the term, so everybody that's teaching the class can get it. So that's my issue, trying to find a workaround for that, for example, for accounting 1212.
Yeah, I agree. It is more difficult when you have those big classes and you're trying to share them down to all the adjuncts and so forth. It definitely is time consuming, and it's people don't realize how much detail there is in Blackboard setting up a course. I mean, every little thing, just a wrong date or something here or there creates a huge cascading of issues, basically.
Yeah.
But
one box not checked and it
Yeah.
can't see an entire,
Right.
whatever.
But I was going to ask you, Bob. So do you have your PowerPoints on Blackboard? Then I assume, right?
Yes.
Okay. So was that for a marketing class that you were just presenting about? Was that marketing?
Yeah, that's a marketing principles class.
Okay.
What I'm trying to do with my presentations is connect the students with something that exists in cyberspace that they can go back to.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's some subjects that they need to read more about. For example, many students don't realize the pervasive impact that the Internet of Things has on their world and also on marketing generally. They just, they sort of understand it from a point of view of a user, but not really what it means from a marketing point of view. So I've tried to provide them with some links to take them to that information and encourage them to read more. I know it's not on the test, but students have told me that knowing this information has turned out to be useful later on.
Yeah, that makes sense. Definitely. Well, going back to your problem with the students not having internet connectivity, like for example, the Kahoot that we were just talking about, I have used it on Collaborate, and I think it evidently does not transfer properly through Collaborate to students, I think, that are using Chromebooks. I don't know. I had some students saying they couldn't see the questions, so I ended up having to read the questions to them. But so you have to really always think about those things. And like another big issue I've had with doing groups and teams on Collaborate is students not having audio, and thinking that they could call in and it would be no big deal that they wouldn't have audio. Thinking that they could log in and thinking it would be no big deal, but then I wanted them to be able to talk to each other just like we are right now. And then, of course, there were some issues with the Collaborate phone line. I don't know if Brad and Melissa, if you guys had issues where students tried to call in and they couldn't get through. They get a busy signal.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, either that or they, I know the first week,
Mm-hmm.
I had an issue with one student who was calling in, and he was repeatedly trying to join the session, and then nothing would work, and then he was in and out. So I don't know if they fixed it after a while, but that first week or two, it was bad.
Yeah, it did seem like it was bad at first, and then it got better, I think. And
Yeah.
I have seen like what happened to you, Robert, where you kind of got kicked out of the session. I've seen that happen to students too, where they were in a session and they got kicked out because of their internet connectivity or whatever. But I think the key is just being flexible. Go ahead, Melissa.
I didn't know this, but on the topic of phone connections, I discovered we do not have a phone connection if you want to use Microsoft Teams. And maybe you already know that. I just learned this because we're trying to set up an online professional development with an author here in July. And one of the biggest issues was I wanted to make sure that we did have a phone line to call in case somebody doesn't, their internet connection is not stable. Can they call in? And after about a day and a half of asking a whole lot of questions from a whole lot of different people, somebody in the IT group, I finally got to the right person, and they said they did. I think they call it a phone bridge, and the school did not pay for a phone bridge for Microsoft Teams.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't used Teams except for when the colleges had meetings. But, I mean, I really love the fact that we bought Collaborate because it's integrated right into Blackboard, and it makes it so and it makes it so much easier. Actually, what we did, or what I did in a lot of my classes, I just changed the name of it at first so that students could understand, what it was. Here, I'll just show you real quick.
I did too. I think I call it like Collaborate-Online Sessions.
Yeah, and I actually just go to a course here. I just renamed it like join. There's a class. So I just made it join class session. So, it's just a little more meaningful than collaborate. I mean, eventually students will get used to it. But I just changed the name of it to join class session or join live class session, so that way they could see easily, what it was. But it does work really well, and it's nice. Like, we've used WebEx for a long time in business management, and there's they have to link out to another site. They have to download a plugin. Where with this all being contained in a Blackboard has been much better. Definitely, I like it a lot better. So I don't know if we're supposed to be done here, or
I don't know. I thought he said 30 or 40 minutes, but I don't remember what time that was. I don't remember when we started.
Where is
Okay, so I just sent out a poll. Are you having fun?
In general, or?
Yes, of course.
Oh.
Oh, I know what.
Out there.
What's that?
I know what I started. Whoops. Where is that? I forgot to mention. I started to say about the if you use Kaltura, because I know one of the things that Amy talked about was captioning the videos. And Charlie, some of the stuff that like I've researched over the past 3-4 years. Remember, we've talked about Dragon Speed.
Oh yeah.
Right, all that fun stuff. I had all kind of craziness going on here for a couple of terms to caption videos. But what I discovered with Kaltura, once I downloaded it to my computer here at the house, I start it when I'm doing my sessions, and I actually turn it off and on lots of times throughout the session, or I pause it many times, because when I give the students time to work, I don't really want that to be on the video, you know what I mean? So I'll pause it when they're working and then restart it when we go over the solution. And when I upload it into Blackboard, it has an option when you go through the steps to caption it. And it literally takes like 5 minutes. I was shocked. Probably 95% of the words were correct.
Really?
As the caption.
Yes. How do you do that again? Why don't you show us that in Kaltura? Because I'm actually have not done that. I have to admit I've been remiss in that area. So
let me get into. Yeah. So for Kaltura, let's see. What do I need to do? Do I need to take over?
No, I think you can just share, because we're all just presenters, I believe. Well, maybe they made me a moderator, but if I go to...
I think she can share.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you can share too.
I just shared my left screen. Can anybody see it?
Nope.
Not yet. Oh, there it comes.
Yep,
okay.
There you go.
We can see it now. Yep.
Okay. I should have been... I'm not in Blackboard this morning. Let me do its thing. Hopefully it's not going to go too slow, because my husband, I think, is on a call as well.
Yeah, that's my problem always, that my husband's on and then my kids are all online too, so it's like...
Yeah, I'm just going to say, luckily it's not the crack of noon, so my son's not up yet.
Yeah. But now if you go
so
to...
as far as...
If you go to go to my media...
Yeah.
So
that's where it is.
So I already have like videos uploaded that I've done,
right?
But so how do you get the closed captioning in them? I guess is my question.
So if I go, I believe it's in edit.
Okay.
Can you tell I've gotten lazy? I haven't done as many. I started really well and then I got lazy. I know.
Just remember we're recording. There. We're recording right now, so don't say anything bad.
Just scratch what I just said. So under here, if you look at
captions, okay.
Right, and then you can upload, and it'll upload what it recorded as you did it.
Okay.
And then you go through the process.
So you can do that after the fact, then.
Yeah. Now I don't know if it's just because of Kaltura, but I'll show you here. So again, I'm on a kind of a older system, as you can tell here. But I was able to load Kaltura onto my laptop or onto my desktop here from the school.
Right.
And then it takes a minute or two to load, but it'll ask me what screen I want to record. It'll ask me what microphone I want to use. But honestly, the thing I like the best is I was able to do the pause, and you can hardly tell it in the video when I hit pause. It just, it's a real smooth.
Yeah.
And the other thing was that I had a power outage, if you can believe it, right? Like I had 6 minutes left in a class and we were just finishing up, and the power went out in the entire neighborhood for like 2 minutes. And I was all freaked out thinking, oh, I'm going to have to redo this, with a 45, 50-minute video. You can see it's coming now.
Right.
But when I was able to log back into everything, there was my video still sitting there waiting.
Oh, that's good.
So, yeah, and I hadn't hit saved or anything like that. It just
it holds
popped itself.
Yeah, it holds them. If you click My Media again.
Yeah.
Click the My Media part there again. So you went out and found Kaltura, but you could launch it right from here if you go to Actions. Do you know?
Right from here.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how I did it. I can't remember how I did it.
Yeah. So
it might have been from
click
here.
Actions.
Yeah.
And then
add new, actually.
Add new. Yeah, you're right. It's add new. Click add new, and then click Kaltura capture.
Yeah. You know what? You're right. That might have been it. I think I talked to MJ.
Yeah.
Is the person I work with over in DEIS a lot, and she's the one that said no, just upload it.
Yeah.
Because I forget what I'd been using before, and they said it was going away.
Yeah. It was TechSmith. We were using the TechSmith.
TechSmith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I still use Snagit and a couple of those other.
Yeah, you can see it over here. That's the TechSmith one that I had been using before.
Right.
Yeah, but that's all I did, and
I agree.
It's really nice.
I agree. Kaltura capture works really well. Yeah. I just hadn't used the captioning part, so that's what I was curious about. I hadn't tried that, so.
Yeah, it's doing its thing, and I haven't had too much trouble with it.
So I want
sometimes.
I want to see the video on New Phone Caroline.
Oh my gosh, that was a joke that my friend. We were talking about. It's kind of funny. We were talking about crazy Italian people like to break phones, and I happened to be watching this show one night, and this crazy Italian mom here in the background goes nuts and just ends up. She's yelling at her husband on the phone, and she just launches it. And my friend and I had been joking about that, about how many phones probably myself and my Italian friends have launched over the years.
That's funny. Well, I will tell you this.
I hate to.
So John said, I think we had 10 minutes a few minutes ago. So it's kind of weird because when he brings us back, like you don't really get a lot of warning, and all of a sudden you're like dumped back into the main room. So it like students were like freaking out. They're like, "What happened?" It's like. Even if you give them a warning, it's like boom, you just kind of end up back in the main room. So it's kind of funny. But one thing I was going to say, and I'm sure some of you guys probably do this, but I was going to show you the. Hang on a second here. Something that I had the opportunity to review a lot of classes here recently, and I was amazed, not just in business programs, but across the campus. And I was amazed at how many people are not doing video announcements. And I think that video announcements are really effective. Go down here. So here's one that I did for this class. But a lot of times what I'm doing is actually putting like a recap like this, and then also making a video where I talk about it. So that way, so what I saw across campus was that announcements were sometimes like 3 pages long. Like people were writing these announcements that were just like 3-page papers, and I was like, there's no student that's going to sit and read all of that. It was like way too much. So, and I'd been doing this for a while where I just would do a recap, bullet points, and then I add a narrative where I actually talk through it. And I think it's much more effective in reaching out to students. And then the other thing that I noticed a lot in these reviews that I did was the lack of personalizing classes, and this is a great way to personalize the class because you're talking to them and they hear your video. But like a lot of people, what they would do is they would just go to their syllabus, for example, and they would just copy the week that's due and then post it, and that's it. So no, like here's this, hey there, sensor sellers, no, no personalization. And I think it's really important to, get students to feel like you're a person on the other side of that screen, and it's not just some computer, because it makes a huge difference in their engagement if you personalize the process. So that's my 2 cents anyway.
Charlotte, the reason I haven't been doing any video announcements, and one of the reasons is because I was always a little shy about doing it because we didn't have a really good closed captioning tool.
That's a great.
But now with
now
with the Kaltura basically built into Blackboard, that's something I think I'm going to start doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like I said, I was amazed. You know how when you get an email from somebody in the college or whatever, and if it goes past, the rule of thumb is if it goes past the end of your screen, the chances are that you won't scroll down and read the rest of it. And the same thing with attachments. A lot of people don't click on attachments. And I just could not believe how long some of these announcements were. And then a lot of the faculty were leaving all their announcements available all semester, which I kind of understand that, but it's a lot for students to wade through, don't you think?
Yeah.
Not if you open the top one.
Yeah.
The most recent opens on top, right?
Yeah.
That's usually the way it works.
How do you put a video into an announcement? I don't see a little tabby for that.
You know what? You have to. The problem is, and I think that's part of the problem, is people don't know how to do that. You got to go to your tools under the course. What's that called? I forget now.
Course tools?
Yeah, under course tools. You got to go under there and make sure it's turned on. Make sure Kaltura is turned on under the announcements. You see what I'm talking about?
No.
Shoot, I shut down Blackboard. Hang on a second.
It's okay. Because I'm looking in that menu, right? I don't see video in the menu.
No, look for
the announcements menu, unless I'm looking right past it.
Hang on a second. Let me. Let's see. I've got too many tabs open. There we go. I'm like, that's what happens to me. I get so many damn things open. I'm like, I don't know where I'm at here. Okay, so you should be able to see my class now. Project management. Yeah. Okay, so if you go down to the, actually it's the customization tool availability.
Is it customization?
Yep, customization tool availability. Click that open, and then scroll down and look for Kaltura.
Yeah.
And then you've got to have all these boxes checked for the mashup to show. So it's got to show under visible guests, all these visible and content areas. Or you're right, it doesn't show up in announcements if you don't have this turned on. And that's what I found is a lot of classes don't have it turned on. But just go to Kaltura Media and make sure all these boxes are checked.
All the boxes that I can check are checked.
Really?
So where should I find it in the announcement?
Yeah, that's the same with me. The matchup is actually grayed out, but the box is checked.
So if you go to create announcement.
Yeah. Where do you do a video announcement?
So it should be right under the mashups. Kaltura Media. So that way you can just pick it up right out of your media file. Yep.
Yeah, Melissa, it's that pull down. There it is.
Yep.
There it is.
Yep. But I found, like I said, in some of my classes it wasn't available there, and it was because it wasn't turned on under the tool availability. But yeah, I think a lot of people don't know that you can do them in announcements. Yeah.
Because I think you're right. Sometimes I'll put a link and say, check out this video, but
right.
Yeah, it's not the greatest. I don't know. 2 steps for the 20-year-old brain is sometimes too much.
Well, even for the older brain, let me tell you. I mean, that's the way I was. I was like, if I'm not willing to sit through and read this 4-page announcement, why the heck would a student do it? And I try to now. Of course, this goes against what Amy just talked about with color, but I try to really highlight. This is due. like highlight things that I want them to really focus on. And then I always send these as an email as well as, you know, posting it. And then, like I said, then a lot of them, I don't have as many in this one, but a lot of them I'll do some kind of announcement as well.
I will.
Charla,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm going to bring everybody back together here in about a minute, okay?
Okay. Yeah, no problem. We're ready.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Hey, he gave
And you know what?
he gave us a warning.
Before we get yanked,
Yeah,
I
go-
wanted to mention, be careful underlining stuff that's not a link.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The 20-year-old.
Collaborate. Oh, okay. See you guys.
Bye.
There we are.